you have the floor.
Good morning, members of the media, listening and viewing public. Just a couple of updates on my side this morning. Very quickly, I'd like to also begin by making mention of the success thus far of the app that's been launched by the ministry, in particular the Department of Inspection. We have gathered a lot of information and data, sometimes not even related to VROMI, and within the next month we're going to share that data as well. Coming out of that data, what has become very apparent is that people are not respecting stop and removal orders. This will be strictly enforced going forward. Just some more information, when a person gets a stop order, they're required to stop the work that's ongoing. When they receive a removal order, they have a certain time frame on the letter that they receive where they are to remove the construction at their own cost. When they don't remove it at their own cost within their own time, it is sent to the Public Works Department to carry out, which is now under the Department of Infrastructure. Infrastructure contacts them, lets them know they are coming, and the police is also contacted, and it's removed by Infrastructure, and a cost is made up and sent to the owner. While I understand it's very challenging in a small community to take such tough decisions, we have to also realize that if we want to live in a decent place, we have to also respect our neighbors. As such, I will be executing stop orders and removal orders with force going forward. So please bear in mind, if you have them pending and have not done so, please do so within the time frame. Excuse me. I'd like to also give a couple of updates on 3 building permits in particular that have, well, 2 in particular that have given quite some interest in the community, and 1 in particular which I have recently approved. While I remain very much about transparency, I think it's very important to have these discussed publicly because they do involve big developments. I'll begin with the permit issued to Noble Estate, which has been in court as well. A little background, the permit originally requested government to allow for the construction of 7 buildings on the hillside next to what is now the Hills development. VROMI in 2022 or 2023 approved 4 of those buildings. The court deemed that the negative advice for 7 was not well substantiated, and we were taken to court. Under my administration, we were able to substantiate why exactly those 4 buildings were the ones that were allowed. It considered things like the hillside policy, as well as the need to address comprehensive drainage going forward. This has now been sent back to the court for decision-making. On Ville 20, which I think has become quite controversial in the media, I'd like to best begin that Ville 20 received their building permit in 2023. This building permit, though they did not receive the civil works permit as yet. The 2023 building permit was not published. This will be published, we found out now, but we have it published in the next National Gazette, so we instruct everyone to look out for that as well. One thing we also realized that Ville 20 was not required to do an environmental impact study when they were issued the building permit, and as such, I've requested them to do an environmental impact study, noting that we've discovered that the beach itself contains one of the last remaining and thriving elkhorn coral reefs on the island. As such, there will also be discussions about the possibility to continue to place sand in that area, as it is not a naturally occurring area for sand. It is a stone beach, and as such, discussions around the possibility of continuing that initiative and a marina are going to be looked at and reviewed. Finally, on the topic of the permits, I have, in all transparency, and I really believe in it, I have approved my first large development, which is a 10-story condo building in the area of Porto, in the area of Blue Marine, on the ridge overlooking the airport. This was done with much consideration to the policies. We also requested a letter of no objection from the airport, given that it could potentially in that area have impact on radar and airport services. And we also were in close consultation with GEBE. That area also already includes a number of apartment buildings and complexes, and as such was deemed by policy to not be a problem for approval. Finally, And a bit more positive news. Following our trip to Aruba, I must say again, thank you to my colleague Minister Aarons for hosting us in Aruba. One of the key things that we spoke about was the need to involve the private sector. I think that's very critical. And since coming back, we've already hosted several meetings with individuals who are already involved locally in the waste management sector. And as well, I want to make mention of the suggestion made by a member of the media, Mr. Lee, regarding the net metering. We did have an opportunity to get a copy of Elmar's solar policy that also makes possibilities and outlines how net metering works to give back to the grid. And we're going to follow up with a meeting, of course, with the relevant Minister of Energy when the new government swears in by the end of this month. Having said that, those are my brief updates, and I look forward to your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Gums, for your opening remarks. At this time, I would like to invite the Honourable Minister of Public Health, Social Development and Labour,